So like I say, this is a bumpy, rutted up highway. Okay, so it's fairly rough. I shouldn't say rough, it's stiff. Okay folks, I know this video has been a long time coming and a lot of you have been asking to see some content surrounding this, so today's the day. We're going to take out my 1992 Foxbody Coupe with the freshly installed Airtekk Air Ride suspension kit on it. I'm going to tell you all about how the install went, the shortcomings I was faced with. I'm going to show you how to run this system with the controller and the gauges and how that all works. I'm also going to give you my first-hand impressions on how the car rides and how the car handles. Okay, so before we fire the car up, I just thought I'd give you a quick lay of the land as to how this all works. So you got your controller, I've got my gauges, and all of this is ran off accessory power. So I kick my key back, my gauges tell me where I'm sitting in aired down format, okay? So this is roughly where I would park my car. Now the way this controller works is you've got the ability to move your car all four corners up or down. So this is full car up or down. Up here you've got just the front two bags up and down, rear two bags up and down, or you can individually control each one of the four corners. So for example, let's air the whole car up. So you can hear the compressor kick on there. This is I think it's a 2.5 gallon tank, so a lot of demand out of it to raise the whole car up like that. And I mean, quite honestly, this gives you a bit of an impression of how loud it is in the cab when the compressor's on, but then we'll go and air the whole car down. Okay. Or we can just go front. Or rear. Now because this is a manual system, and you'll notice that my sides are slightly off. So this top one is my driver's side left. It's a lot easier because it's so touchy when you go up. You can dial it in pretty easily by coming out of the air pressure. Same thing over here, so that'd be my driver's side again. Okay, and get them roughly where you want them. So this would, actually I'm probably a little high. This would probably be in and around where I would park the car. And then ride height, I'm still messing around with this. Jeez, it goes up quick. I'm somewhere in and around 40. Boy, that's touchy. I'll maybe just take a little walk around and make sure that I'm not too low. So 30 in the front and about 40 in the back. Okay, let's call that ride height. We'll fire it up and we'll take it for a little cruise, and I'll tell you all about how the install went and how it rides. Okay, so just idling out of my neighborhood here. The roads are relatively decent in here, and I I'm a stickler for going slow through neighborhoods. I actually keep one of my kids' soccer balls tucked in behind a flower pot, and whenever I hear somebody coming flying up the road, I just kind of nudge it out with my toe and let it roll out in front of the car that's flying by. And they usually stand on the brakes. Oh my God, I thought there was a kid coming. I'm like, exactly. Use your head. So anyway, putting through the neighborhood here. I'm gonna try to get you guys on all different types of conditions of roadways and whatnot, and I'll try to, it's hard, I don't know, I mean, I thought about strapping the camera to the car, but then how could I talk to you? Anyway, I think you guys will get a decent enough impression, almost as if you're riding in the car with me, just by having you in here and having me talk you through it, and you'll see my reaction to bumps, so on and so forth. The couple of times that I've had the car out, they've been just short little jaunts, and quite honestly, my head wasn't even really in like I wasn't really computing much of what was going on with the car. I was just more or less like out enjoying it. And to be honest, I haven't had this car out much this summer, so it was all kind of new. But anyway, with those couple times, the first like immediate impression I got is this is stiffer than what I was used to previously. Now previously, I had Eibach progressive lowering springs in this car, and I can't say enough good things about those springs. Now, they won't lower your car to the ground. They will give you that, you know, 1.5 inch, 1 3/4 drop, but the ride is just impeccable. It's very, very hard to beat. So that was what I was used to. Those springs had been in the car since I was 19 years old, so like since 1999, okay? So going to this was a bit of an adjustment. Now, I will also say the dampening, okay? So the shock absorption, if you will, I have cranked to the 33rd level. They're 33-way adjustable. I have them on 33 in the back of the car. And the reason being is I want to be able to ride around low and not worry about, you know, hitting like a wow in the road, and like you get that sort of sponge effect and bang, right? You kiss a tire into a rear quarter. I do not want that to happen. I will most likely deal with whatever rough ride I get in the back by having those set on 33. I don't think I'm going to change them. The front, however, I started at 33. It was really rough. Not rough's the wrong word. It's just like there's no shock absorption really. Like they're just stiff, right? So I've dialed those down to 25, which I think is probably still a little too high. But long story short, I just have not had time to mess around with this, okay? So that's like first impressions. Now the install, if I was to gauge the install of this Air Ride kit on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being, you know, you should be a mechanic to do it and it's probably even going to make them scratch their heads, and a 1 being, you know, like changing your headlight bulbs over to LED, something to that effect, I'd probably put this somewhere in and around a 4.5, 5, okay? So right in the middle. And the reason I say that, I mean, you can obviously just slap this kit in, not worry about where you've ran your lines, not consider how it's wired or if you're running the proper gauge wire, all that stuff. Like you can really slap this kit together and probably be out the door maybe in about 6 to 8 hours, let's say, okay? I, on the other hand, I had to piece it together. I'm a family man and I got lots on the go, so I did it over probably about 3 days, but I also went to great lengths, and I'll try to link the videos. They'll definitely be in the description for you, of all 3 stages of the install. So first and foremost, I wired it, and then I plumbed it, and then I put in all the hard parts, and I didn't want to go back on any of this. for example, like just slap it in and then come back later, straighten everything up and rethink it all. I mean, I mounted everything and the kit is done, right? Other than maybe a little bit of fine tuning after I've driven it around a little bit. But yeah, so I'd gauge it maybe around a 5 on the hardness scale. So I'll just pause that thought. I'm coming up, I'm gonna have to stop, but I'm coming up to an intersection here where I'm gonna cross the highway. And I don't know if the roads are like they are here around where you live, but our highways get, you know, those ruts. So as I go through these, you're really gonna see the suspension do its thing. So you'll probably see me jumping around like I'm riding a bull. But anyway, back to the hardness scale. Yeah, probably a 5. I wouldn't say that, you know, you couldn't do it if, you know, you've lowered your car, like you already kind of know what you're doing, or if you've changed the shocks and the struts out in your car and you've lowered it. An air ride kit isn't all that much more difficult. And even if you do find it difficult, that's why I did the videos and I explained all the intricacies of wiring them and plumbing them and what have you. So, and full disclosure, I had never put an air ride kit in a car before in my life. So I was learning as I went. You know, logically things do make sense to me and with the my mechanics background and things of that nature. But even if you didn't have any of that, I still think you could do it. Okay, here we go. So like I say, this is a bumpy, rutted up highway. Okay, so it's fairly rough. I shouldn't say rough, it's stiff. Now, a lot of this, there's a lot of factors that play into that whole stiffness. So I'm running around right now at my ride height at about 55 PSI in my front bags and about 43 in the back tube. I could probably be a little bit lower than that, but like what I'm finding is air pressures and what you run them at is a lot like fuel mileage. Okay, so somebody goes, oh, I get like 1,000 miles to a tank. Oh really? Like how big's your tank? Well, it's like 80 gallons. Well, okay, then that changes everything. Like, what are you actually getting for mileage, right? Is more the number you need to discuss. Well, the same goes here. So I got a buddy that, well, I got a few buddies that have Air Ride, and prior to me trying to figure out where I was going to drive my car around at, I inquired with them, you know, what are you running for air pressures? And what I found is both of them actually run more air in their front bags than I do. One of the kits is the same as this one. The other one is a full-blown like airbag that replaces your coil spring, like it sits in the spring pocket. That's the infamous project, right? So he's got his silver coupe on there. But anyway, regardless of that, the guy that does have the same kit as me, he's running like around 80 PSI in the front of his in his front bags. Now, where he and I have set our systems up, because I talked to him quite a bit through this, where we've set our systems up a little differently is I have my static ride height set higher than he does. So I'll try to link a video for you here, so, or you know, I'll splice it in so you can see what I'm talking about. But essentially, you can thread down the static body of the front strut, so you can actually set your static ride height before you even start messing around with air. I've set my static ride height higher than his is. He's wound right in, so essentially he doesn't have a lot of he doesn't have as much movement as I do as he's airing up and airing down. It's kind of a long story. I talked about it in one of my other videos when I was installing the struts, but I was trying to focus really heavily on making sure my front shock or dampener actually rode in the middle of its travel, so I didn't have to worry about it, like, you know, I just didn't want to bottom it out, and I didn't want to like max it out, and that's why I set my ride height, my static ride height, where I did. So anyway, so I'm running less air pressure than those guys are, but probably running around at a similar ride height, if that makes any sense. Long-winded way of saying that, but anyway, back to the ride. So yeah, this road's a little rougher, okay, and I hope you guys are getting a decent enough impression of the sound in the cab and everything else, because you know, the louder the bang, usually the bigger the bump. So I'm gonna pull in up here and give you guys a little bit of a walk around of the car with it at ride height, and then with it aired down, so you can get your heads around kind of how it looks and where it sits and all that good stuff. Guys, here we go again. So while I'm just working my way out of this parking lot here, again, if you've caught my install videos, you'll know that I ran into some hiccups, okay? And this is a new kit that is kind of relatively fresh to the market from Airtekk, and so they are still working their way through the intricacies of perfecting the whole system, and I have been in close contact with them. I actually just received a text from them the other day with some pictures, and it looks like they're working on some new top plates, because this is one of the things I struggled with. Not struggled, but I had to alter in the kit, and with this being a bolt-on kit, oh, curbs. With this being a bolt-on kit, you know, you shouldn't have to mess with that. God, I love driving this car. Anyways, so they are working through that. So if you catch my install videos and you see the things I went through, just know that I'm trying to help them out. They're working on it on their end, and it sounds like they're gonna be making some tweaks, at least to the kit that I got. Who knows, maybe I'll get another set of top plates from them, and I'll do a kind of a reinstall video, putting ones that fit a little bit better right out of the box in this car, and changing out these ones that I've had to alter. I'm going to take you guys out on the highway for a little peel here, but as we're working our way over there, I figured I'd maybe try to talk my way through with you, like, you know, high level, what were my thoughts, would I do it again, things of that nature. So first and foremost, I absolutely love the ability to, well, raise my car up in the off chance that you may need to, you know, get into an odd driveway or whatever. Truthfully, I've only used that once. It was one of the 2 times that I've had the car out prior to this. Ran down to a little Cars and Coffee, see some of my local buddies, and there's some speed bumps there where they did not waste any pavement. Like, if anything, they paid extra to make these speed bumps tall. And anyway, I thought, oh, perfect. Boom, air it up over the speed bumps in like pretty much, I can raise my car up, just to give you some perspective, I can raise it up to stock height, give or take. I'd probably say that's about as close to as high as I can get the car, and then obviously as low as possible. Actually, while I'm thinking of that, I needed to mention this as well. So this car can air down, or could air down a lot more and tuck tire and wheel and everything else, if I had a different wheel tire setup, which may be something that I could be looking into in the future. Just the way that these Saleen wraps and the size tire I have, the way the offset is on these Saleen wraps and everything, I can't tuck these tires any more than I currently am. Like, I'm literally resting tire on painted surface. So it could go lower if I wanted it to. Bill Butler, getting a call from Bill Butler. I know he watches the videos. So Billy, I'm sorry, buddy, I'm in the middle of this right now, but I'll call you back. Anyway, for those of you who don't know, Bill Butler is one of the organizers of the Motor City Fox Fest. Absolutely ace of a man and a wealth of knowledge. We got a podcast coming up with him here. We're going to get him on for a 3rd time, just because, like, the guy's tank of information is never empty. So yeah, anyway, back to the wheel tire setup. This is as low as I can get aired down with this wheel and tire setup, but it could get lower with a different wheel tire setup, different offset, smaller tire. I run a 255 wide in the front and a 275 wide in the back. So really, I've really got no business tucking a tire that big. And anyway, it is what it is. So I am coming up to the highway here, so I'll try to shut up while we're on the highway, because it is going to be a little louder in the cab. Yeah, back to like what I do, what are my thoughts and would I do it again? Like I say, I absolutely love the ability to alter my height, and I absolutely love the fact that I can lower this thing right out to like nothing in a parked format. I love that. And that's not for everybody, right? Like, not everybody's crazy about like a slammed car. It's just a thing that I've always enjoyed, and it's a look that I really like. So I really enjoy the fact that I can do that. And would I do it again? 100%. I think having a suspension setup like this, which for all intents and purposes is very comfortable. I mean, a lot of brand new cars run air suspension. So it kind of takes a 90s car into the 2020s. But I would 100% do it again. I've wanted to do this since I was 16 years old, and waited until now when I'm in my 40s to do it. So anyway, super excited about it. And it's not that I ever lost any love for the car, but sometimes you get a little stagnant with them, right? They sit in the garage. Sure, you enjoy looking at them, but maybe you don't get out of in them as much. But now I'm like, I was excited to do this video, right? Because I got to drive the car and experience this whole new suspension setup. Sorry, this is one of those goofy non-arrowed green lights. I'm gonna wait for everybody to go. Okay, here we go. This is a little bit of a nicer highway, but I just wanted to get you guys out on the highway so you could kind of experience that side of it too, right? Because obviously not all your driving is going to be winding around on slower, you know, like 25, 30 mile an hour roads, or in my case, 50, 60 kilometer an hour roads. But there's a couple little bumps here. Those are just kind of like beat up cracks in the road, if you will. And I'm doing about, I'm slowing down now. I'm doing this in like everybody's coming home from work kind of traffic, so sorry about that. Try to get off of this road. Anyway, I guess you guys are probably looking more for my opinion than anything. The highway ride is nice. Again, it's stiff in the way that I've currently got it set up. About the only place, at least in and around me, so we've got a big bridge that crosses the lake that I live on, or I don't live on it, but whatever, the town's kind of built around it. And it's got like your standard, you know, road to bridge embankment, or those transition strips. And when you're hitting those, you know it. Like, you know, they're quite like, boom. But again, I've got this thing set up in really stiff format, so kind of is what it is. And you know, like, in all honesty, you kind of want that firm feel, right? At least I do. That's why we drive these things. Like, they're little sports cars, you know? Some would argue that, but as far as I'm concerned, you know, you should know you're hitting bumps. You don't want to be riding around a Cadillac. Anyway. So overall, folks, I give this Air Ride suspension kit 2 thumbs up. Really like it. If you're considering going down this road, I think most of you guys that watch me know this by now, but like, reach out, I'll chat with you about it. If you got any questions or concerns, you know, hit me up in the comments, or my email's listed on my About page here on YouTube. And fire away. I love chatting these things, right? Chris and I, the Infamous Project, we've even talked about it a bit on the podcast. I don't know if air suspension is you know, like worthy of a full pod. We usually do like 2-3 hour pods. We did have Pro Tour Fox on though, Andrew, and he's actually a Airtekk marketing guy, works for Airtekk, right? So we talked a bunch about air suspension on that episode. If you're interested, check it out. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that stuff. Be forewarned, Chris and I sound like we have Tourette's on the podcast. We got to keep the language clean on YouTube, right? So on the podcast, we really let her rip. And we get into the adult beverages too, so that amplifies things. But anyway, folks, I'll leave this one here. I hope this helped you. I tried my best to give you the real true impression of what this feels like in a Fox body, and my overall thoughts, and like I say, would I do it again? 100%. So I hope that helps you guys out. And as always, thanks so much for watching. If you think this might help somebody else out there, please share it along. That's why I do these videos. Try and give back and help the community out. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye for now.